those old diagrams of the brain? You know, the ones with all the neatly labeled sections, like memory was over here and decision making was over there.
Right.
Well, turns out brains are way more dynamic than that. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into dynamic functional connectivity. That's where the real magic of our minds unfolds.
Yeah, it's a little bit like if you had a city map and you
Yeah.
realize that it's more of a suggestion, like the roads are always changing.
Uh-huh.
The traffic patterns shift. New routes pop up all the time.
Mm.
And our brain's connections aren't fixed. They're in constant flux,
Mm.
just changing and responding
Mm.
to our every thought and feeling and experience.
Okay, so I'm picturing this intricate web of connections in the brain,
Yes,
but they're constantly rewiring themselves.
that's right.
So what does that actually mean for how our brains work? I mean, we still function, we still remember things and make decisions.
Exactly, and that's the incredible part, is this dynamic interplay of brain networks. It's what allows us to seamlessly switch between tasks, adapt to new situations, and even learn new things.
Mm.
Like imagine you're trying to drive using that old static map. You get lost pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But with a dynamic GPS, you can navigate those changing roads with ease.
So dynamic connectivity is like our brain's built-in GPS,
Yeah.
helping us navigate the complexities of life.
That's a great analogy. It's this constant reshuffling of connections that allows different brain regions to collaborate and communicate effectively. Instead of fixed departments, think of it as flexible teams,
Okay.
forming and dissolving as needed,
Yeah.
each contributing their expertise to the task at hand.
I'm starting to get it, but can you give me like a real-life example? How does this play out in everyday situations?
Okay, so let's say you're reading a book and suddenly you hear a loud noise.
Mm-hmm.
In a split second, your brain shifts gears.
Wow.
The networks involved in focused reading, they kind of quiet down.
Yeah.
While the networks responsible for attention and threat detection, they fire up,
Huh.
allowing you to quickly assess the situation. And then just as seamlessly, you can return to your book, your brain reconfiguring once again.
Oh, so it's like our brains are constantly like orchestrating this intricate dance between different networks, responding to the ever-changing demands of our environment.
That's exactly right.
No wonder it sometimes feels like we're juggling a million things at once.
That's exactly right. And the fascinating thing is this dynamic interplay. It's actually crucial for our cognitive flexibility and resilience.
Okay, so I get that these connections are constantly changing, but how do scientists even begin to measure and understand something so complex? It seems almost impossible.
And definitely a challenge. But neuroscientists have developed incredible tools and techniques to observe these dynamic patterns.
Hmm.
Imagine being able to watch a city's traffic patterns in real time
Okay, yeah.
and seeing how flows change throughout the day. That's kind of what techniques like fMRI and EEG allow us to do with brain activity.
Oh, so they can actually see these networks firing up and quieting down in response to different stimuli.
Precisely. And by analyzing these patterns, we're gaining valuable insights into how different brain regions communicate and collaborate
Huh.
to support our thoughts and emotions and behaviors. It's like watching a symphony orchestra in action, seeing how different instruments contribute to the overall harmony.
And how does this neural orchestra change as we learn new things or face new challenges? Is there a link between dynamic connectivity and our ability to adapt?
That's a great question, and it's an area of active research. What we're finding is that the brain's ability to flexibly reconfigure its connections, that is crucial for learning and adaptation. In fact, some studies suggest that.
Yeah.
Some studies suggest that the more diverse and adaptable our connectivity patterns are, the better we are at learning new things and solving problems, and even coping with stress. It's like having a well-rehearsed orchestra that can easily switch between different musical styles, from classical to jazz to rock and roll.
Oh, I like that analogy. So a flexible brain is a resilient brain. But what happens when this dynamic system gets disrupted? I imagine that can lead to some serious problems.
You're absolutely right. When our dynamic connectivity patterns become rigid or less adaptable, it can have significant consequences for our cognitive function and well-being. Think of it as the orchestra getting stuck playing only one type of music, unable to adapt to the audience's requests or the conductor's cues.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the connections themselves, but how fluidly they can change and adapt.
Precisely. And research is showing that disruptions in dynamic connectivity play a role in a wide range of conditions, from depression and anxiety to Alzheimer's disease
Yeah.
and even traumatic brain injury.
Oh, wow. So in those cases, the brain might be getting stuck in certain patterns, preventing it from functioning optimally.
Exactly. For example, in depression, we often see reduced flexibility in the networks involved in motion regulation and cognitive control. This can lead to persistent negative thoughts, difficulty focusing,
Hmm.
and an inability to shift out of a low mood.
It's like the brain is stuck in a negative feedback loop, unable to break free and access more positive or adaptive states.
That's a great way to put it. And this understanding of how disruptions in dynamic connectivity contribute to these conditions, it's opening up some exciting new avenues for treatment.
So instead of just trying to target specific symptoms, we can potentially develop therapies that focus on restoring healthy connectivity patterns.
Exactly. Imagine being able to help the brain relearn its flexibility,
Mm.
to break free from those rigid patterns and regain its adaptability. That's the promise of this new frontier in neuroscience.
Wow, it's almost like giving the brain a tune-up, helping it rediscover its full range of capabilities. Are there any specific examples of therapies or interventions that are being explored in this area?
There are several promising avenues of research. For
Sure.
instance, some studies are investigating the potential of non-invasive brain stimulation techniques, like transcranial magnetic stimulation or TMS,
Okay.
to modulate connectivity patterns and improves cognitive function.
TMS, that's where they use magnetic pulses to stimulate specific areas of the brain, right?
That's right. And while it's still early days, there's growing evidence that TMS can be effective in treating conditions like depression by influencing neural activity and connectivity.
So we're talking about using technology to rewire the brain. That sounds pretty futuristic. But what about things we can do ourselves to promote healthy connectivity? I've heard that practices like mindfulness meditation might have an impact.
That's another fascinating area of research. There's a growing body of evidence suggesting that mindfulness meditation can indeed alter brain connectivity patterns, promoting greater flexibility and resilience.
So taking some time each day to quiet the mind and focus on the present moment could actually be rewiring our brains for the better.
It's certainly a possibility and one that researchers are actively exploring. Mindfulness practices seem to enhance communication between different brain networks,
Mhm.
improving our ability to regulate emotions, focus our attention, and even make more thoughtful decisions.
This is all incredibly exciting. But I have to ask, are there any potential downsides or risks associated with trying to manipulate brain connectivity? I mean, it's still our brain we're talking about.
That's an important question and one that researchers are taking very seriously. While the potential benefits are significant, it's crucial to proceed with caution and ensure that any interventions are safe and effective.
So it's not just about finding ways to boost brain power, but doing so in a way that's responsible and ethical.
Absolutely. We need to carefully consider the long-term effects of these interventions and ensure that they don't inadvertently disrupt other important brain functions.
So it's a balancing act, harnessing the power of neuroplasticity while respecting the complexity and delicate balance of the brain.
Precisely. And as we continue to unravel the mysteries of dynamic functional connectivity, we'll undoubtedly encounter new challenges and ethical considerations that we'll need to address.
This whole concept of a dynamic brain really challenges the traditional view of the brain as a fixed entity, doesn't it? It suggests that we have a lot more agency and potential for change than we might have previously thought.
Absolutely. It's a paradigm shift in how we understand the brain, and it has profound implications for how we approach learning, health, and well-being.
So if our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on our experiences, thoughts, and actions, does that mean we have the power to shape our own brains in a way?
It's a fascinating possibility, one that researchers are actively exploring. Um, while genes certainly play a role in shaping our brains,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
it's becoming increasingly clear that our experiences and habits and lifestyle choices also have a profound impact on our neural circuitry.
So it's not just nature versus nurture anymore. It's
Okay.
nature working in concert with nurture, this dynamic interplay shaping our brains throughout our lives.
Exactly. Think of it like a garden. Your genes provide the basic soil and seeds, but how you tend to that garden, the sunlight you provide, the nutrients you add, the way you prune and shape the plants,
Yeah.
that will ultimately determine how it flourishes.
So we're not just passive recipients of our genetic blueprints. We have an active role to play in shaping our brain's destiny. That's empowering.
It certainly is. And this understanding is opening up exciting possibilities for promoting brain health and cognitive enhancement. By engaging in activities that challenge our brains, cultivating healthy habits, and seeking out enriching experiences,
Yeah.
we can potentially influence our own connectivity patterns in a positive way.
It's like we're the architects of our own neural landscapes.
Yeah.
But with great power comes great responsibility,
Yeah.
right? If we have the ability to influence our brain connectivity, What are the ethical implications of that?
That's a crucial question, and one that we need to grapple with as we delve deeper into this field. As we develop increasingly sophisticated tools to modulate brain activity,
Yeah.
we need to carefully consider the potential risks and benefits, ensuring that these technologies are used responsibly and ethically.
So it's not just about pushing the boundaries of what's scientifically possible, but also ensuring that we're using this knowledge for good.
Absolutely. And this requires a thoughtful and nuanced approach,
Hmm.
involving open discussions, careful research, and a commitment to transparency and ethical guidelines.
Yeah.
It's a collective responsibility that we all share as we navigate this uncharted territory.
This has been an incredible journey into the dynamic world of our brains. What started as a simple question about how our brains work has opened up a whole new universe of possibilities and challenges.
It's a testament to the incredible complexity and adaptability of the human brain.
Mm-hmm.
And as we continue to explore the mysteries of dynamic functional connectivity, we're sure to uncover even more fascinating insights that will transform our understanding of ourselves and our potential.
So to wrap things up, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
The brain is not a static, unchanging organ. It's a dynamic, ever-evolving system, shaped by our experiences, thoughts, and actions. And as we learn more about how these intricate networks interact and adapt,
Hmm.
we unlock the potential to enhance our cognitive abilities, promote brain health, and live richer, more fulfilling lives.
Beautifully said. And for you, the listener, remember that your brain is a marvel of complexity and resilience. Keep it active, challenge it, nurture it, and who knows what incredible feats you might achieve. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep those neural connections firing.